Hello and welcome to LexisNexis Risk Solutions Trust Live event in London. I'm Hannah Wallace, and kindly joining me in the studio now to discuss behavioural biometrics is Neil Costigan and Rob Woods from LexisNexis Risk Solutions. Hello to the both of you.
Hi, good afternoon.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for joining me. A really interesting topic at the heart of a lot of discussions during Trust Live. And I know you're very busy at this year's event as well because you're launching the new behavioural biometric solution, Behaviour SEC. So I'd love to hear a bit about that, but also why behavioural biometrics is so important. So Rob, we'll go to you first.
Sure, thank you. So Behaviour SEC is one of the pioneers in behavioural biometrics, and in our suite of products with ThreatMetrics, it was the natural complementary fit. And the reason behavioural biometrics is so important is about layering your solution in a fraud prevention control framework. So when you don't not just relying on geolocation or device or one single bit of intelligence, which all allude to where you are and what you're doing, but Behaviour SEC brings it into reality and says you are the user. It is Rob, and it is Rob using his device in a way that is normal and typical for him. So it adds the human element to your decisioning and your intelligence. So that extra layer of control is really important, really valuable, especially with the rise in scams and other fraud MOs are really ramping up post-COVID.
Yeah, and listening to the discussions today, it's clear that there is a rise in scams, so an interesting solution there. And taking a step back then, I'd like to hear a bit more about where we've come from and how pure behavioural biometrics differs from what's been before. So, Neil.
Well, as Rob said, we've been doing this quite a long time. BehavioSec spun out of a university in Sweden over 16 years ago. And if you can think of that time, there was very little touchscreen devices, there was very little fintech and online banking and payments, so we kind of came from an academic background. But behavioral kind of became the new black in security about 4 years ago, and then everybody said, hey, we're going to patch on behavior to what we're doing. And I think, my personal view is they missed the point a little bit. It isn't just a tiny bit of behavior and is this a human or not. So using behavioral for detecting if it was a human or a bot, but actually trying to figure out who the individual is. Mm-hmm. So it's the depth of the behavioral. So we're not just going, is this a machine? We're going, is this Neil? And that deep behavioral analysis, watching how you swipe on the phone, the pressure on the screen, and doing this continuously over time is what we would call kind of deep or pure behavioral biometrics.
All right, that's fascinating. So what are some of the emergent online threats then you're seeing come from that for those businesses trying to establish trust online? And then how is technology being used to meet some of those challenges? Rob?
So I think the important word in your question is trust. A lot of fraud prevention software out in the market is all about identify the fraudster and stop the bad guy or stop the bot. Where BehavioSec really excels, and as Neil said, it's about identifying that it is the genuine returned user and who they are. And so when you can trust in that digital identity and in that person, it's not just about keeping the bad guys out and reducing fraud, but you can also optimize the whole user experience. If you have a greater trust that it is the genuine customer, then customers can do what they want at the first time of asking with less dropout in a journey, which for our consumers means less complaints, better customer net promoter scores, less dropouts into call centers. So yes, there is a huge fraud benefit, but actually it's a really good intelligent tool to optimize workflow and give genuine customers a better experience, which may mean less step-up authentication and things like that. So it's really valuable on two aspects.
Yeah, that's interesting to hear about how the customer is benefiting as well then. And going back to the solution, it'd be interesting to hear a bit more about the journey up to this point and how it was designing the solution. Neil?
Hindsight is my greatest superpower. And looking back at why we got to the point we're at, actually, it sounds like we had some great strategy and great vision, but in fact it was semi-accidental. But a couple of things we noticed was, first off, not to see this in its own silo, that it was part of a huge ecosystem. So it had to fit in with other solutions. So kind of the design of APIs and SDKs were complementary to other technologies, and so we kind of layered on. And in fact, the solution we're offering now it's a layered approach. We add on to the existing LexisNexis Risk Solutions product portfolio very easily. So that layering in and not in a silo, we didn't go, hey, throw everything out and put ours in. It's a case of, if you've got stuff, we can enhance and increase it. And that seems to be in vogue, or kind of the way modern anti-fraud security solutions are built these days. Secondly is to encapsulate. It's very, very, very complex how my data science team go and make these scores. And to get that really high quality behavioral biometric score is a lot of not just magic, but real science behind it. And yet we encapsulate this. And so to an integration to our customers, it's very, very seamless just to drop this in. And all the magic happens kind of in an open box. You can peer in and see the magic happening, but ultimately it's encapsulated quite well.
Well, as you say, it is a real complex subject, and we'd need a whole other interview to discuss that. But for now, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for sharing your insights on behavioural biometrics. Looking forward to learning more, but thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.